Mr. Himanshu Desai, you have also studied cinema. You are somebody who watches cinema. And I like to know from you, do you like Bollywood film? And when you see it, how do you see it? If you don't see it, why don't you see it?
Um, who doesn't like Bollywood? It will be only Aurangzeb may have not liked Bollywood if he was alive today. I don't know. I don't know of one person across the world, whether it is in Germany or England or Canada or USA, wherever I have had the pleasure to visit, that people don't love Bollywood. Definitely, Bollywood is a great gift of art and culture from India to the world, and a it is an unbeatable and an unimitable style of filmmaking. Mm. However, if I tend to look at Bollywood, if I have to look at it through, let's say, a somewhat academic lens, only one name is there in my mind, who is the director and producer of all films of Bollywood, and that is Joseph Campbell. Yes, and why I say, because we have polished his you know his theory about the monomyth or the hero to a great extent, like nobody else. Now, why do I say that? If you want to make a film in Bollywood, there is a formula which you have to follow. Otherwise, no producer is going to fund it. And that formula is nothing but the hero's journey, as has been described by Joseph Campbell. And those who have read his great book, uh, A Hero with 1,000 Faces, will understand what I'm talking about. But in very simple terms, let me briefly give you what Joseph Campbell did. Joseph Campbell was a professor and a researcher on mythology. So he studied world mythologies, and he had extensively studied folklore tradition of different parts of the world. And then after studying deeply all many mythologies, he came to the notion of comparative mythology. Like, for example, Jesus Christ and nativity and Krishna nativity have many things in similar. Christ was born mm, in a in a stable, or in a, I don't know, a sheep herder's place, and Christ was born almost like in a prison, and no, Krishna, and King Herod killed many infants because he was scared that Christ will overthrow him. Or same happened with Raja Kans, who also killed. So I'm just to give you an example. I cannot go into details, but Campbell pointed out that there are many similarities between all the world religions, and not only Christ and Krishna. The archetypical notion of a hero is mostly the same in many cultures. So then he took all the commonalities or comparisons between different mythologies, and he came to a theory which he calls the hero's journey, and in which, very simply put, there is a hero, and he is a beautiful man and whatever, and then there is a problem. Number one, there is a hero, then suddenly there is a problem, and then he goes deep into trouble, and then he cannot find how to deal with the problem, and he is not able to find a problem until he comes across some mentor, an external force who shows him a way. Then he goes into the depth of hell, and here the mentor basically says you have to go deep into the depth of hell to be able to fight the demons. And then he goes and he fights the demon, and then he becomes victorious, and finally he comes back home. So this is a hero's journey. It's very simple. If you look at Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with Thousands Faces, you will easily understand. There is also a diagram, a circular diagram. Hero starts here, goes down, and in the middle he has all these 3, 4, 5. Now if you see any film, like 99% of films, and this is nothing new, this has been talked about by many scholars and all, this is nothing new, that this formula has to be followed to be for the viewer to be satisfied. Okay. And and if you see any film, let us say our great epic Sholay, and let us compare it to any other film, let us say Jurassic Park. Okay, I'm giving very general general example so that everyone can understand. So in Sholay, in the beginning, there is an inspector, and then there is a problem. There are dacoits who are rampaging the village, and and then there are two. He finds these two heroes, and they are brought to the village, and then they have a lot of crisis, and they have literally to go to depths of hell. Two people fighting with many, and you know the whole story. Now, if you map Joseph Campbell's hero with 1,000 faces, his journey onto Sholay, it perfectly matches. And if you map that on Jurassic Park, also it perfectly matches. Okay. And this formula has been churned and churned, especially by Hollywood and by Bollywood. And it has been the same story has been spun around and round and round, and it is still being done. I'm not saying all films are like that, but majority. Now, if you look at that, majority of the films are telling the same story. I feel they are putting us in an amnesiac state. It's a kind of a mass hypnosis, you know. We are hypnotized by the same story again, again and again. So here to criticize Bollywood. I love Bollywood, and it is my best way.
All right. So, Mansu, on that note of laughter, I thank you for giving me some insight uh, uh, of how uh, the script, the narrative of a great cinema or a common cinema, of a standard cinema is structured. So therefore, it looks perhaps that that our mind, the viewer's mind itself is structured, that you want to see cinema, a narrative in a certain way, because it's there in mythology, it's there in our cinema, and perhaps it is also there in our politics. We want to see heroes.
I
And
want to say
and
something very,
the more the greater the suffering of the hero, the greater is the sympathy that he gets from the
yes, and the greater the victory, and it's the same. Anyways, I want to say in closing one thing.
yeah,
That is just one observation. However, it does not undervalue the great art form that cinema is, and the great art form that Bollywood is.
yeah.
After all, it is a tool of entertainment, and I don't think there is any greater tool of entertainment than Bollywood in world today, and Hollywood included, and Tollywood and Mollywood, and how many woods are there? They are all great.
Thank you, Mansu Desai. And my next video will be on a new question. Thank you.
Thank you.